From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for a 6:30 broadcast. We did have technical difficulties for the past half hour, and we're now live. So thank you for
sticking with us.
I'll
fill in there.
All right. So our top story this evening, the Alaska Supreme Court upheld the state school funding formula as constitutional, reversing a decision made by a lower court.
That's right. Reporter Ryan Grimes spoke with local officials and got their responses regarding how the court decision affects the Fairbanks North Star Borough and the school district.
The Alaska Supreme Court ruling comes from a case filed against the state by the Ketchikan Gateway Borough. This is a complete reversal from a decision from a Superior Court judge, which claims the formula's requirements for municipalities to pay for part of education funding was unconstitutional. The Fairbanks North Star Borough supported the Ketchikan Borough during litigation. Fairbanks Borough Mayor Carl Castle says a fair way to pay for state schooling is off the table now that the original Superior Court ruling is reversed.
I think the equitable position from the state would be to give the same level of funding across the board to all of the Alaskan communities, which is actually part of the Constitution, requiring an equal treatment.
As a whole, municipalities across the state pay approximately $220 million to their school districts. Lisa Pierce, the chief financial officer for the Fairbanks North Star Borough School District, says the decision by the Alaska Supreme Court is a relief. She adds that no change in the state's formula for education funding means at least 14% of the district's total revenue stream is insured.
If the ruling had been upheld, the funding source of that would have been in question, would have reverted back to the state, which, given the financial circumstances of the state this year, that would have put an additional pressure on that $28 million as to where that level of funding was going to come from.
In total, the Fairbanks North Star Borough must allocate at least $23 million worth of funding to the Fairbanks School District as a result of the Supreme Court decision. Castle says the borough already pledged to give about $28 million to the district. He maintains that keeping schools funded is important to the borough, but the root cause of the issue is fairness for municipalities across Alaska, which now must pay more for the school funding formula plan than non-municipality governments.
Where is the incentive that says, well, if you incorporate this area, you're going to have to increase your taxes and pay more for your schools? That's counterproductive to encouraging people to incorporate. So I think on several different levels, the current system is a little bit broken.
This is Ryan Grimes reporting.
The Fairbanks North Star Borough Assembly kicked off 2016 with a special meeting. Mike Fussell was there. He has the story.
Borough Assembly's goal was to come to a consensus on a possible settlement for nearly a decade's worth of litigation with the Trans-Alaska Pipeline system. Disagreement on the pipeline's value, which drives the amount of property tax revenue the Fairbanks North Star Borough receives, has been a big hurdle for negotiators.
So we're settling the assessed values that are currently in dispute, which is 2010 through 2015. And then we're settling potentially 5 years going forward. So starting in 2016, which we don't have a DOR number and we don't have a SARB number, and 5 through 2020.
Every $1 billion of the asset's value will yield $1 million in revenue for municipalities. The owners of the pipeline have said its value was as low as $800 million, while local governments have pegged its worth at more than $15 billion. And after an executive session, the Borough Assembly agreed to ratify a settlement based on a pipeline value of $8 billion through 2020.
Our upside potential gain is relatively small, but our downside risk is pretty high. And to lock it in at this level right now seems the most prudent thing to do.
I don't really appreciate the state's position and somehow considering their needs to be greater than the needs of the municipality. But I think overall this settlement is better for the citizens or the residents of this borough than the alternative of continuing with litigation.
The city of Valdez and the North Slope Borough must also accept the agreement and face lumped-in tax cap negotiations that the Fairbanks North Star Borough doesn't.
That was the issue that blew up the last settlement. Some of you might remember that because we were ready to settle, and at that point the state raised its hand and said, oh, but there's this matter of we're suing you for millions of dollars, you meaning Valdez and North Slope, where the money you've received from this litigation, you actually have to pay us. So that's how they became intertwined.
The settlement, if accepted, would drop existing litigation and create a process for resolving future tax cap issues. Reporting from the Assembly Chambers, I'm Mike Fussell.
All right, when we come back, Alaska Senator Dan Sullivan spoke today about proposed regulation changes to wildlife management on national wildlife refuges in Alaska.
Also, Alaska is on the top 15 rating across the nation when it comes to young business owners succeeding in the state. Stay with us. And welcome back. The naloxone pilot project has started up in several pharmacies in the lower 48, including multiple Fred Meyer pharmacies, and is looking to expand to Alaska. Naloxone, also called Narcan, is the antidote that reverses an opioid overdose. It has been used in ambulances and hospitals for decades to save lives during heroin, oxy, and other opioid emergencies. It works by neutralizing opioids in a person's system and helps them breathe again. The life-saving drug is making its way into pharmacies all over the country, and the move to Alaska depends on the outcome of Senate Bill 23. While this drug seems to be a saving grace to addicts or family members of addicts, not everyone is comfortable with the idea of offering naloxone over the counter.
The drug itself is all right, but my concern is it being readily available over the counter like that. I think it would give people that maybe are thinking about it, trying something, but they want to have it with them or just in case something goes wrong, it would lead to more people getting addicted in the first place because they think something's readily available.
Senator Dan Sullivan today expressed deep concern over the United States Fish and Wildlife Service's proposed regulatory changes to wildlife management on national wildlife refuges in Alaska. The change could restrict access and limit hunting, fishing, and trapping activities, preempting the state of Alaska's authority and science-based management regime. In all, Alaska has 16 national wildlife refuges comprising nearly 78 million acres. Sullivan says he's continually surprised of how little regard the federal government has for the state of Alaska and its people. Sullivan is entering his second year as a U.S. Senator. He spoke with the News Center on what he's done thus far and his plans for 2016.
In my first year, I would just say it's been an honor to be able to serve my fellow Alaskans, and I'm going to continue to focus on the importance of growing our economy, maintaining a strong national defense, particularly one that has a significant force posture in Alaska, taking care of our vets, and also focusing on the most vulnerable in society. We do have some people who fall through the cracks and need a hand up, and we certainly have some challenges on the social side, domestic violence being one that I'm very focused on, that we need to do a better job as Alaskans and Americans on.
The Fairbanks North Star Borough's employment has had mild ups and downs over the last few years. After a small bump in employment in 2015, the borough is forecast to lose 200 jobs, or a half percentage point, in 2016. That is according to the State Department of Labor. Fairbanks' economy is built on the military and state government, which includes the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and both face uncertainty this year. Other small parts of Fairbanks' economy can stand on their own, but most of the area's jobs rely in some way on the military or state government for stability. Both of those economic drivers will weaken in 2016, and the outlook for government employment has darkened due to declining oil revenue and budget deficits.
A National Business Consumer Agency says Alaska is in the top 15 when it comes to the success of young business owners in our state. In a study conducted by NerdWallet, researchers say Fairbanks is 11th and Anchorage is 13th when it comes to small business loans given to individuals aged 25 to 34 years old. NerdWallet researched over 180 metropolitan areas in America with data from the U.S. Small Business Administration, the Census Bureau, and the Labor Statistics Bureau. NerdWallet analyst John Todd says the high ranking for Fairbanks could also be due to population differences when compared to larger cities with 2.4 small businesses accounted per 100 residents in the Golden Heart City.
Cities, I suppose, bigger cities in the country in terms of businesses per 100 residents. Fairbanks had 2.4 businesses per 100, and that's higher than cities like #1 Austin or Washington, D.C., and it's about the same as Los Angeles. So, on a relative basis, Fairbanks actually does score very well against, again, some of the bigger cities in the country.
All right, up next in sports, we have highlights and reactions from what could be the game of the year at UAF.
All right, stay tuned for that. Plus, find out if the Ice Dogs got a win in Pennsylvania.
And welcome back. Scoop Clark filling in for Joe Cook. He is out on assignment. Some basketball. Now, time for some Friday sports action. Let's get to it. Thursday night, the UAF men's basketball team came up on the wrong side of what could be the game of the year. Last night, GNAC leader Alaska hosted the Western Washington Vikings. The team picked to win the conference. This was a seesaw battle that went down to the wire. In the final seconds of regulation, UAF split 2 free throws with no timeouts. Ricardo Maxwell hits his only 3 of the game to tie it at 79, and then they go into overtime. UAF's Trevante Williams went for a career-high 35 points as both teams continued to battle. Brandon Davis gave Alaska a 91-88 lead with 1:31 left. He had 19, but the Vikings would not go away. Jeffrey Parker of the Vikes scored a career-high 39 points. And one play made it 99-97. UAF with 10 seconds left. The Nooks tried to inbound but turned the ball over. That's when the Vikings found Brett Kingman, who got a look and knocks down the game winner with 3 seconds left. UAF falls 100-99 to the Vikings. It's their first conference loss and first home loss of the year.
You know, I don't know if they were in a zone or a man, but I tried to get underneath it. And when Ricardo drove baseline, you know, they kind of collapsed, so I just tried to get to an open spot.
We finally hit some shots that we haven't been hitting. You know, the other night in Billings, we didn't make some shots that could have gone our way as well, so we'll take it.
3-point line and free throws, and you know, you got to just finish it. You know, you got to finish games, and crazy things happen, and this was kind of crazy. We had separation, and then they just would hit a huge 3. Pretty good basketball game. Good for them, bad for us.
An unfortunate loss for the men's team, but the women's team was on the other end of the spectrum on Thursday. UAF played GNAC newcomer Concordia, and they led the Cavaliers 40-26 at the half. Jordan Wilson scored 25 of her career-high 35 points in the first half, almost outscoring the Cavs. Brianna Smith led Concordia with 22 points, and the Cavs cut their deficit to 4 late in the third quarter. But Kaylee Stolz hit 3 of her 17 points to answer. Alaska would go on to win 75-66, ending a 7-game losing streak and get their first GNAC win of the season.
It felt good to win. Things were just flowing in the first half. You know, just offensively, we were getting good looks, and we knew we could pound it inside, and we did that.
We changed it up a lot. You know, we go man, we go zone, we do press. But the kids that don't play a whole lot, they were able to make a difference and not let it get away from us, and that was big.
The Fairbanks Ice Dogs finished up Game 1 of their series against the Johnstown Tomahawks on the East Coast. Down 0-1, the Ice Dogs came from behind and win 4-2 over the Tomahawks for their 25th win of the season. 4 different players had a goal and assists for Fairbanks. The Ice Dogs will look for the sweep in Game 2 on Saturday at 3 Alaska time. Now we go to high school hardwood, and Joe Cook recaps a busy Thursday of high school basketball throughout the state.
We start at Boileau Hall for the opening day of the Mount McKinley Bank Invitational. Barrels sweep Sitka in their opening round games. The girls won 34-28, and the defending 3A state champion boys team won 62-50 over the Wolves, led by Travis Adams' 23-point outing.
We don't have any 2K or Madden tournaments or anything like that, but definitely enjoying our time here with our family, our team, and just enjoying each other, enjoying this food because we don't have this food in Barrow, so it's been a great trip so far.
For the hosts, the Monroe girls went up against Grace Christian. Savannah Mapp led Monroe with 7 points as the Rams trailed 11-10 at the half, but the Grizzlies pulled away in the second half, keyed by Sarah Laker's game-high 19 points. Grace wins it 34-20. Then in primetime, the Rams had a rematch of the 2014 state final and last year's state semis. Trevor Osborne scored a game-high 21 points for Grace Christian as the Grizz cut a 10-point deficit to 4 in the fourth quarter. But the Rams finished strong, and they win 50-40 over Grace, led by Ryan Brantley and Jeremiah Bailey's 12 points. In Anchorage at the Diamond Prep Shootout, West Valley's Daniel Hornbuckle brought his guns. Hornbuckle outshot everybody, scoring a career-high 47 points in an 83-78 win over Mount Edgecombe in the opening round. In the Elks tournament in Palmer, the Lathrop boys dismantled Mohawks High School out of Oregon 55-9. Jeremiah Handy had a game-high 18 points for Lathrop. North Pole lost 75-83 to ACS in their first game of the Joe Floyd tournament in Kodiak. Marshall Chase and Taylor DeAngelis both scored 23 points for the Patriots. Joe Cook reporting.
Lastly, we reveal the first play of the week winner for 2016. Now the POTW goes to the UAF goalie who caught fire last Sunday. Junior Davis Jones makes 29 saves in a 1-1 tie against the Bemidji State Beavers. He made some critical ones in the third period and overtime to secure 1 point for the Nooks in a tough series. Jones' 29 save performance is the play of the week. To pick the next POTW, watch the I-5 Interior Top 5 plays on Mondays during the weekend recap. And that is it for sports tonight. Mike Schultz is next with a weekend weather forecast, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey everyone, welcome back into our Friday Night News. Mike Schultz with you once again, talking about the weather. And today, it wasn't as cold as it was yesterday, but still chilly. We're looking at temperatures to continue warming through the weekend, and no precipitation in the forecast. And this forecast looks like it's going to continue right on through the middle of the latter part of next week, the way it looks right now. Pretty good. Our photograph night, looking very pink and very much on fire. The skies are on fire, according to Don Norris, who captured this photograph. Look at the colors on that sunrise or sunset. I'm not quite sure what it is, but we've had a lot of them this year, and they continue. So again, some great photo opportunities. And again, if you have a photograph to share, send it to photos@ktvf11.com. Your numbers today, 8 below currently. Our high today, 6 below. The low last night, 15 below. The record high, 40 in 1930. 53 below in 1952. Sunrise and sunset, 4 hours and 30 minutes exactly, and a gain of almost 5 minutes from yesterday. And once again, an air quality alert in effect through tomorrow, 5 o'clock. Fairbanks in a stage 2 category, unhealthy for sensitive groups. But North Pole, stage 3 continues with unhealthy air out there. So folks with heart problems and children and any respiratory problems out there, you might want to definitely think twice about going outside. Here's our satellite and radar. Again, most of the energy staying down to the south across southeast Alaska and moving into the Prince William Sound area when they get some snow around Valdez. Otherwise, clear skies across the interior. The rest of the state looking pretty good for the most part. As you can see over southeast Alaska, chilly temperatures at Juneau, 26 degrees there. Ketchikan, some showers moving in the picture, 39. Over Anchorage, some light shower activity there, but only 18 degrees for the high. Kodiak, 42, and some shower activity. Also showers around Cold Bay, 32. Up and down the west coast, temperatures ranging from Bethel at 17, but 33 at Nome, so a little pocket of warm air there. And across the north slope into the Barrow region, 3 degrees for the high end. And once again, back to around Fort Yukon, very cold, 20 below for their high temperature. Lower 48 weather, again, some areas of showers moving across the central plains, the cold air moving in. That's why the picture's so white. And thunderstorms moving across the deep south. Across the west coast, another storm system moving in, bringing more rain, mainly to northern California. And that's going to continue into the weekend. Now, as far as the cold temperatures across the Great Lakes, well, it's going to be playing a big role in the football playoffs for Seattle, Minnesota Sunday. The real field temperature 10 to 15 degrees below zero, and winds west 10 to 15 miles per hour. So it's going to be pretty bitterly cold for that game. The overall jet stream for next week is calling for a big buckle in the northern section, which means warmer air and drier conditions moving across much of the western half of the country, but still the rain will continue over the west coast and over the eastern half of the country. Things looking, for the most part, fairly dry, but some snow showers across the Great Lakes. Now, as far as our kids' weather watch, well, in 1973, Atlanta, Georgia, severe ice storm paralyzed the city with damages over $25 million. And guess what? Thanks to Mount McKinley Bank, I'll be on vacation next week, so look for weather facts again. The kids from Tickasick Brown will be back with us, however, on January 18. Real quickly, our winter trails report, plenty of snow, although it'll be quite crusty. Trails for cross country will be very fast, lots of snow for snow machiners, but again, beware of possible avalanches. Temperatures will be warming into Sunday, again, thanks to Beaver Sports for that. Forecast for tomorrow, foggy in Barrow, decreasing clouds for Nome, sunshine in Fort Yukon. Here in the interior, we're looking at mostly clear skies for Fairbanks and Delta Junction, mostly cloudy for Healy. Looks like it's not too bad over southeast Alaska. Some rain and snow in Juneau, then most snow likely at Ketchikan. Over the southwest part of the state, rain and showers at Cold Bay, some snow in Bethel, rain for Kodiak, and down around the Anchorage Bowl. Looks like a chance of rain at Homer and Anchorage, and 2 to 6 inches of snow in Valdez. And our forecast real quickly overnight, continue clear and cold, auroras are possible, 9 below. Tomorrow's forecast, 15 above, lots of sunshine, a little warmer. And the 5-day outlook, you see temperatures warming up very nicely by Monday and Tuesday, then cooling off once again. Overnight lows will still be very comfortable for this time of year. They could be a little warmer, but it looks like things are coming out pretty good. And I will say, now it's time to say goodbye to Stephanie.
Yes, that's right.
I'm
So
so
Stephanie's
sad.
last broadcast with us, and yeah, absolutely. Last words?
I'm sad. I'm going to miss everybody. I've really enjoyed working with you. Mike, you're like my grandpa.
Oh, yeah.
Daryl, you're like my annoying big brother.
Thank you.
Just kidding. But it's been the best, and I'll still be around, but I will definitely miss you guys every night. So
Very good. We'll miss you the same.
yeah, am I supposed to?
We'll see you
open
around.
Yes,
We'll see you around.
I don't know.
Should I open
it's
this
like
or
she
wait?
gets
Get
some-
open time. It's cookies.
All right. Then we have run out of time. So
Yeah.
for all of us and Stephanie, one more time, we want to wish you a great evening.
Good night.
Have a good weekend.